evening, Mayor Davidson, Deputy Mayor Lee, and members of the Bellevue City Council. My name is Renee Bennett, and my address is 826 108th Avenue Southeast, and I live in Bellevue. RCW 42.52.020, activities incompatible with public duties, states, no state officer or state employee may have an interest, financial or otherwise, direct or indirect, or engage in a business or transaction or professional activity, or incur an obligation of any nature that is in conflict with the proper discharge of that state's officer or the state employee's official duties. 2 weeks ago, Councilmember Degginger stated at the beginning of the discussion on the Wilburton Local Improvement District that he would not participate because his law firm represented one of the property owners, Home Depot, in the proposed local improvement district. Councilmember Degginger was careful to point out that he personally did not represent this client, but that other lawyers in his firm did. Accordingly, he recused himself from the discussion to avoid any appearance of a conflict of interest. Councilmember Degginger is an attorney at the law firm Lane Powell. The Lane Powell website states, and I quote, "Lane Powell also is the go-to law firm for complex transactions and cases for sound transit." I've attached a copy of that screenshot for you. Councilmember Degginger lists his representation of sound transit among his representative cases. Specifically, in 2003, Councilmember Degginger personally represented Sound Transit as lead attorney against Quest. In the U.S. District Court, Western District, his name appears in the signature block of the motions and the pleadings for this case. This case is also representative in a copy for you. In the lawsuit, Councilmember Degginger defended Sound Transit against Quest, a private party, forcing Quest to bear the full expense of relocating its utility lines to accommodate Sound Transit's light rail expansion in Seattle and Tacoma. Councilmember Degginger succeeded in defeating Quest's claims, arguing in part that the cities of Seattle and Tacoma, not Sound Transit, had authority over the rights-of-way. Councilmember Degginger has been a Bellevue City Council member since 1999, and he has been an employee at Lane Powell for longer than that. His firm has represented Sound Transit throughout the entire period of the Sound Transit Eastlink deliberations. His firm has received payment for legal services from Sound Transit. Sound Transit is at odds with Bellevue over alignment and cost issues, among others. It is possible that there will continue to be a conflict between Bellevue and Sound Transit as the Eastlink project proceeds. To align with the city's interests, Councilmember Degginger would have to take a position contrary to Sound Transit's position, which puts his financial and professional interests in conflict with his official duties to the city. No man can serve two masters. Councilmember Degginger's firm prides itself in serving Sound Transit, and he has been Sound Transit's lead counsel. This puts him at odds with the city and our citizens. This conflict of interest undermines public confidence in his comments, decisions, and directions regarding Eastlink. There is no principal difference between the Home Depot Local Improvement District situation and the Sound Transit Eastlink situation. To ensure that our city and citizens' best interests will be represented, I ask that Councilmember Degginger recuse himself for further participation in any activity related to Eastlink. Thank you.
Thank you.
Point of personal privilege.
Sure.
I have discussed, well, there's a couple things that lead to misimpressions. One is I have represented Sound Transit in the past. I haven't done any work for Sound Transit since this case was over in 2004. That was 6 years ago. Although my firm does represent Sound Transit, I have conferred with the city attorney. We don't do any work on Eastlink, so I have conferred with the city attorney about this. I want to make very clear that on any kind of matter like this, I always do, as I did with the Home Depot matter, where we are actually representing Home Depot in connection with matters that would relate to the LID, and I recused myself. And based upon the advice of the city attorney and an independent review of this very issue, I was told that I did not need to recuse myself because it does not arise to that level of any kind of a conflict at this time. Obviously, if that changed, I would have notified my colleagues. But since that opportunity arises, I think it's important that people do have transparency in issues like that. And Ms. Bennett is very involved with a group called Build a Better Bellevue, who has not identified who their members are and who funds their operations. So maybe that kind of transparency could be shared with the public as well.
I object.
No. Sit down, so we keep some some control over this
Well,
meeting.
Dawn, she does make a good point. I mean, Claudia attacks Aaron Lang, and now Grant's attacking Renee Bennett. It's really out of...
Excuse me? Wait, I'm sorry.
Did you not attack Aaron
I
Lang?
asked a question about a public comment. Mr. Wallace, I'm sorry. There's an issue on the table here, and you're going backwards to a meeting
Remember
that happened a
Balducci?
week ago.
You have time and again attacked
Excuse me, I am
constituents, misled the public about...
Excuse me. Mr. Mayor, are you going to allow that to go on?
I've allowed a lot to go on. Let's calm down a bit.
What do you mean, are you going to allow it to go on?
Outrageous. Councilmember Wallace, what on earth do you think you're doing here?
What do you think you're doing? How many times are you going to continue to put Sound Transit's interests
Oh,
of
my
constituents in
goodness. All
Bellevue?
right, I'm sorry. How many times are you going to continue to put
Claudia.
your personal financial interests in front of the best interests of the citizens of Bellevue? Can we talk about conflicts here if you're going to go there?
Well, okay, let's talk about conflicts and where you work and who you're representing.
I'm not making a single dime more depending on where that alignment goes.
Okay.
Are you, sir, where
Okay.
you propose alignment
Why do
where
you
your
continue to
offices
put
are?
Sound Transit's interests ahead of Bellevue?
Why do you consider to put your own
Again,
personal financial interests in front of the city of Bellevue? Call for a recess, please do.
Okay, it's been moved. Second for a recess. All in favor?
How dare
say
you,
aye.
Councilmember Balducci?
You don't just pick on me in the middle of the meeting for no reason
So we
whatsoever.
can calm down.
What on earth? Oh, my God.